going live, and you might so my kids don't run in, but I'll just wait for some more people to join, for people to log on, and I want to talk about three boys. Nearly healed. That one. How do I get it on here so that... Hello, Gordon guest. Should have put my phone on call divert, shouldn't I? That's going to keep happening. But I want to talk about three boys. I don't know how many of you have seen the latest video we put up. It's about three young boys who were murdered, run over by a car near Hayes. If you're just joining this, give it a share. If you've watched the video, then I want to give you some more information about what's happened in that case, about what happened to the families, about what the families are doing as well. So, three young boys were going to a 16th birthday party. I want to give, because when I made that video, to be honest, even making the video, meeting the families, we first met them a couple of months ago, and we filmed it a couple of months ago. And then with everything that happened for the Day for Freedom, some of the footage that we had, as many of you know, one of my team left. We had a few problems, and we had a few problems with the footage as well. So we had to go back and meet the families again. And there was a delay, and there were parts of the footage that should have been on the video that didn't make the video. So I just want to briefly talk through how I met the families, what happened in that case. So I met them after our event at Speaker's Corner. I saw these two mothers holding a banner when I got home. I looked online and I watched a video of these two mothers saying they're fighting for justice. So I reached out, and so many people got in contact with me and put me in contact with them. I then went and met the families. And the first time I sat down with Tracy, and I listened to the story, and listening to the story, if you talk about police failures, these three young boys were walking to a 16th birthday party. There was actually more than three. There were two other boys who were hit by a car before them. Then the car, which didn't brake, then the car killed the three lads, and it was about to hit another five. But because one of the boys was on the bonnet of the car, the driver hit a lamppost and lost control. Well, you could have had 8 children dead that day. Then after the cars mounted the pavement and killed the kids, the driver and the passenger run away. And the passenger, to this day, he run past 3 children dying or dead. He run past their bodies. He run past them and left them. And he's never been brought to justice. He's never even been charged. He hasn't been charged. So these 3 young boys have been killed on the way to a 16th birthday party. Now, if there's some suspicion, the 2 men who were in the car sat in the car behind, and they positioned their car in Asda car park behind a lorry. So no one can see anything on CCTV. You just see the car go behind the lorry. It sits there for 2.5 hours, from 4 o'clock till 6:30. Now, you tell me, if these were 17-year-old kids sitting in a car, if they're 17 and they've just got their driving licence, you go hang around in car parks, 24 and 29 years old. What are you doing sat in a car for 2.5 hours in Asda car park? Neither of them get out of the car. No one comes to the car. They then leave the car park at 6:30. Their car, according to the police, disappears. Their phones were being used whilst they're in the car for the 2 hours. If you're just joining us, I'm talking about the case of the 3 boys whom our latest video. Their phones were being used while they sat in Asda car park for 2.5 hours. Then their phones go completely off radar. Now that means they've either took their SIM cards out, took the batteries out, or turned their phones off. Both of them. Neither of their phones were used again until the boys were run over. So in those two hours, the police said they can't find the car. Now you leave Asda car park and you walk the route and there's loads of CCTV. Also, when the boys were arrested, so one of the men run away and got away. The driver run after them, and they caught him. Now, the driver was put into an induced coma because the boys struggled with him and he got hit on the head. He was put into an induced coma. So at this point, the police have done no investigation. They don't know who the driver is. They don't know who the passenger is. The passenger's run away. They don't know who he is. They don't know no motive. But straight away, they put out saying this was not terrorism. That's the first suspicious thing for the families. The second suspicious thing is that the driver, if it was a dangerous driving case, if it was, and he had a drink, because he had a drink, but where would he have had an alcoholic drink? Where could he have had an alcoholic drink? He sat in his car for 2.5 hours and that's the car park. Was he sat in the car drinking alcohol? Was he psyching himself up? Now, when under interview, after you've just mowed down 3 innocent children, what would your conscience be? You'd be distraught. You'd be wanting to speak about it. You'd be wanting to apologise. You'd be wanting to... but he didn't. He went no comment. Now, anyone who's been through the legal system knows you're advised to go no comment when you've done something that you want to hide. So he went no comment and didn't say a word. He didn't tell the police where he'd been when he left as the car park to what happened that day. 2 days later, the witness, the passenger... So the passenger of the car ran away and he got away. Now, 2 days later, the police ring up the family and say, right, we know who he is, so we're going to go get him, the passenger. Within an hour of that phone call, he handed himself in. Like he knows someone in the police station, possibly, or something like that. He handed himself in. Now, when he handed himself in, he gave a pre-prepared statement. Again, when you're trying to hide something. In his pre-prepared statement, he said that he was in the car, but he didn't know anyone had been hit. And that's it. Other than that, didn't say where they were, didn't say what they were doing, didn't answer any questions. No comment, no comment, no comment. Now, if this is a suspicious incident, 3 young boys have been mowed down. Reverse the roles for a minute. 8 Muslim children are walking down the street. And a white driver and his friend mount the pavement and kill 3 of them. Previously to that, they're sitting in a car for 2.5 hours and then they're all going no comment. Would the police look? Would they investigate other avenues? Would they? Ask yourself that. Would they? Because what the family then said to the police, the family started investigating the passenger. Because the driver was obviously remanded. The passenger, he's let go. So when you research the passenger, who's never been named, by the way, when you research him and you check his social medias accounts, you find messages about paradise heaven. Hashtag paradise heaven. What does he mean, paradise heaven? He is a Muslim. So Muslims, paradise. Now we know what they think of paradise. We know how they get to paradise. So he says paradise heaven. Another picture is actually on his social media is a picture of me. This is all before the attack. It's a picture of me when I've been visually beaten up, saying great. All of his messages are about Islam, terrorism, etc., etc. So the family asked the police officer, have you looked into his social media? Why would we have done that? Why would you have done that? How about because our 3 sons are dead? That's why you might have done that. You might have investigated this case properly so that the mothers have got answers to every question that's rocking around in their head. Because there's been no investigation. There's been no CCTV retrieved. There's been nothing. And when you actually start hearing, on the night the boys were killed, the families were kept in a hotel. They were sat in a hotel, and it was 5 or 6 hours. The boys were pronounced dead at the scene instantly. But it was 5 or 6 hours before the mothers were told their boys were dead. But the police had opened the road again in 2 hours. So 3 boys have been killed. They've done no investigation. They've not searched the road. They've reopened the road. They've treated this from the offset as though it's an accident. His friends, because they're at a 16th birthday party, they've sat there all night. Now, when the suns come up, the boys' blood and even parts of those young boys was still on the side of the road, was still all over the railings. They had not even got anyone there to clean the place. So when the boys' parents would have been coming there in the morning, they'd have still been seeing all of the parts of their sons splattered all on the sidewalk. Though little things like that, when I'm hearing it, I'm thinking, they didn't even get anyone to clean the road. They didn't treat it like a murder scene. They didn't treat it like a crime scene. They opened the road in 2 hours. Then the mothers speak to the police. Where are our boys' phones? They say the boys' phones, don't worry, your boys' phones are in their bags. We put them in their man bags. Okay. 3 weeks later, one of the boys' friends is in the cemetery because one of the young lads went over the 8-foot fence into the cemetery. His friend's kicking about a bit of grass in the cemetery. He comes across his phone. He picks the phone up. It's the lad's phone. It's his friend's phone. If I'm right, I think it was it was Harry's phone. And then the mums then rang the police and said, "You told us." She rang up and said, "Where's my son's phone?" It's in his bag. Why am I looking at his phone now? So all of these little things, which just like, it's just disgusting the way the family were treated. And then they're asking, so in this case, a lot of the questions, when these 3 boys were mowed down, if the police would have gone instantly to the driver's house, seized his phone, seized his computer, gone through his intel, that's what they should do on every crime, gone through the websites, was he looking at jihadi websites? Was he looking at, what was he looking at? If you went through all these things, you'd answer a lot of questions. If they retrieved the CCTV, it would answer a lot of questions. Now, the parents then ask, okay, I've watched the CCTV. So when the car's driving up the road, does it turn around? Does it see their boys? Bearing in mind this would have been public on social media in that area. There was a 16th child's birthday party. If someone wants to run over a load of kids, it's not hard to look on Facebook, social media and see that this is going on. Yeah. So was the car driving round looking? So when you watch the CCTV, a car fit in the description, but they switched the cameras. The camera that would have shown the number plate clearly, the police don't give you the footage of. So the footage you get is of a black car going one way, and 1 minute 30 seconds later is when the car, travelling the other direction, hits the boys. So the parents are looking at video saying, well, he's gone past, he's turned around, and he's come back. Which again is suspicious if it is his car. But all of these questions can't be answered because the police done no investigation. They didn't go get the CCTV. And then the driver, I hope you're keeping up with this because it's quite, and if you're watching this, share it. Share it because these young boys, the parents, the families are fighting for justice. There's actually a demonstration on Bank Holiday Monday outside Whitehall, meeting at Trafalgar Square. I'll put the links when I finish this up on my website. There's also a fight for justice where the families are trying to raise £55,000 so they can do a private prosecution. But my main grievance, or not main grievance, but the questions which, when three families have lost their son, when they've lost their son who's 16, when their children are dead, you search, you investigate, you make sure that those families are not lied to. When they ask where the man's born and you tell him Hillingdon Hospital, and then when they get to CPS in the Crown Court, they get told he's not in Hillingdon Hospital. He's not even from this country. He come here 8 years ago, and after he come here, he committed crime. He's got a criminal record. He should have been deported. But instead, he's allowed to drive a car and run down innocent children. Now, there's so if the police are running an investigation, which they weren't, and check this out, the liaison officer that the police gave to the family doesn't have a mobile phone. Did not have a mobile phone. So you're the liaison, their children are dead, and they've got questions they want to ask, and they can't even contact you. It's 2018. Who doesn't have a mobile phone? Who doesn't have a mobile phone? So, again, when you put all of these things together, the lies about where they were born, the social media of the passenger, the no comment interviews, all of these things, and then you hear the police say, well, the reason why we didn't treat it as terrorism was because he had alcohol in his body. September 11th bombers all went to nightclubs and slept with and strip clubs, drinking alcohol in the days before their attack. I think the 7/7 bombers did as well. I even think the term assassin, if I'm right, comes from Muslims who used to take Muslims up into the mountains, give them drugs, give them alcohol, bring out pretty women, tell them they were in heaven, and then send them on their way to kill. If I'm right, I think so. I know it sounds ridiculous, but most things with Islam are. So, you've got 3 young children. And you know what? You know, if you look through the videos, go look through the tribute videos to these lads. Such lovely, and the families, man. It's like they said if they grew up to be great dads. I've met them. I've met the families. You know them. You know the morals of those children. I already know the morals of those children. You know, I know that. They said how they looked out for people, made sure no one was bullied at school. The school said there's no bullying in their year because they were the lads, and they were decent lads, real decent lads. And they had, you see them, gorgeous young boys, man, and their lives taken from them. And not just their lives taken from them, but nothing. No investigation. And the contempt shown to that family by the police. When you hear step after step, I'm probably missing some of the things here. Oh, another thing. So the school that the children went to sent letters out to all of the pupils who would be attending the funeral saying, we've been asked that you don't share images or talk about the funeral on social media. Now, the parents went up to the school and they said, okay, why have you sent this letter out? The police liaison, you know, the one who hasn't got a phone, come up to the school, went to the school and told the school the parents want this done. They don't want anyone to talk about it. That's a complete lie. So another lie. And when you think about that, it's like the police are purposely suppressing the talk of this funeral. Now, there was 2 funerals. 2 of the boys got buried together. One of the boys got buried on his own. I think it was George on his own. Now, when it comes to George's funeral, there's no media there. There was no media there. Why was there no media there? The family then asked why there's no media there to a journalist. They contacted a journalist. The police told us you didn't want us to attend. Well, that's another lie. That's another lie. So, I said, whether this is a complete police failure, because they are pretty shit at things, but the contempt as well, just reverse the roles, and we know this wouldn't have happened like this. We know that those families would have had answers. If you've got 3 young children and they've been killed, you have to, when the parents have concerns, fears, raise questions, you've got to answer them. You can't just not answer them and lie to them, which is what's happened. And now the moment, and you know what? They said it wasn't terrorism within 20 minutes. There was another case 6 weeks ago. A car mounted the pavement, it ran over a load of children, 12 years old, in Scotland. Within 20 minutes, the police put out saying it's not terrorism. Although they didn't know who's driving the car. They had no idea who's driving the car. They're still searching for the driver of the car or searching for his motive, but they're going to tell the world it's not terrorism straight away. Who remembers after the Ariana Grande concert? Everyone was saying it was a light that exploded. That was the theme that people were trying to go with. Or a speaker that exploded. Now, when we look at what happened in Catalonia, in Barcelona, and this is, and the thing that Tracy said to me, since this has happened to her children, she's been put into this. So since it's happened to her children, she's gone online. And I know then, which is why my heart breaks for the family, because I know they're reading, they're learning, they're listening, and they're finding so many discrepancies in so many cases, and so many lies by the police and the establishment, and so many cover-ups. So then, their world's just going to be completely thrown upside down even more, because they don't know what to think, and they don't know what to believe. Now, when you look at Barcelona, in Barcelona, a house exploded. The police report clearly said it was a drug factory. The next day, the owner of that house took a lorry. He drove through the streets, he killed 16, I think, and injured 67. The police were then forced to admit, well, it wasn't a drug factory. We fucking lied to you. We lied to the public because we think you're stupid. And so they said, and then they come out and said it was a drug factory. Now, 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, whatever, a house in Leicester blew up. What did the police say? 5 people were murdered, killed. What did the police say? It's an alcohol factory. An alcohol factory is in a Muslim shop. 5 names have been done for manslaughter. Guess what? All Muslim names. Now, alcohol's cheap enough. You don't need a factory for it, do you? And isn't alcohol haram? Surely we haven't got 5 religious Muslims who are making alcohol. Is that what you want us to... Is that what people are being told? And all you have to read is the comments underneath each one of these instances. People don't believe them. The government and the police have created a complete atmosphere in this country where no one believes a word they say. When we get told something, we think the opposite. And you can read that by any newspaper article about any house explosion or gas explosion or anything. People don't believe them. And now, who knows? This could have been a drunk driver. This could have been dangerous driving. This could be police absolute failure in their case. But what are the family meant to think? What are they going to think? They're going to think when a car mounts the pavement after going onto the pavement and going full pelt without braking, non-stop, killing kids. When the driver and the passenger try and run away, the passenger runs past. You see the passenger? I hope you watch this. Yeah, it's only through the parents' choice that I haven't come and found you and stuck a camera in your face. So it's only doing what they want best. So you see the passenger, the man, if you call him that, the man that left and run past 3 kids dying on the floor has faced 0 prosecution. Now, if I crash my car and I get out and run off, I'll be charged. I'll get done. He left kids dying on the floor and he hasn't been charged at all. Ask yourself that. What's that about? Is it because if they charge him, we then all get his name, which I've got anyway, but we then all get his name. We then see that he's a Muslim. We then go to his profile and see paradise heaven. We then start putting things together. Is that why? Is that why he's never been charged? Regardless, even if it was an accident, he should be charged. He should be charged. He should face the consequences of leaving children dying on the floor like they were animals. You wouldn't even leave an animal. Would you leave an animal? If you run over a deer in the street, would you leave it? No, you wouldn't. Not anyone with a heart wouldn't. And that's the point, which the family said, even when the pictures were put in front of this driver. I went to the court case. At the Old Bailey. And there's a thing called an impact statement, which is quite new, where the mothers, the mothers have to stand up and give their impact statement. They have to give their impact statement as to how this has affected their lives. And each one of them went through, and it's the most heart-wrenching thing I've ever had to listen to. And he sat there. He sat there and didn't give a shit. He sat there in that court. And do you know what? The parents were asked, they put their impact statements in prior to the months before this. Or a month. No, not months, actually. Here's another thing. This happened on the 26th of January. Anyone who knows anything about the legal system, who's been through the legal system, anyone who's followed my court cases, anything, 26th of January, they were sentencing him on the 26th of February. Case closed. Even the CPS, even the lawyers, even everyone said, never seen a case rush through like this. Never seen a case rush through like this. Okay? He was actually sentenced after 8 weeks. 8 weeks after killing their children. He's sentenced. Anyone knows that's not how it goes. Now, I sat there and the mothers they wrote their impact statement, and in their impact statement, they said the effects and what they thought about this case. Now, it was all passed. An hour before they're due to read their impact statement, the barrister said they've got their statement and they've blacked out everything. There's only about 3 lines they're allowed to read. They said you can't say all this. It's their impact statement about how it's impacted them as a family. What it's done to them. You know, each one of these young boys, Josh had 4 sisters, 5 sisters, brothers, sisters, children. And this is the effect. And when you sat there, and you know what, I sat there listening to it, and I've never felt, I've never listened to anything so heart-wrenching in my life. And I've had quite a lot of horrible stories and gruesome stories when I've travelled the country, and I look at those mums, and even when I try to introduce them on the free speech rally, and as soon as I look at them, I can't. It's just knowing what they've gone through, knowing what they're going through, and knowing that they're never going to have closure because our pathetic police didn't investigate this case. Because people want, it suits them for it to be dangerous driving. So, oh man, it's just, I hope that our video, as I said, our video that we've done, I hope it does the case justice, which I hope this does the case justice. I hope that people understand. And do you know what? Do you know what I said to Josh's mum? If I was their son, this happened to me, if I was their son, I'd be so proud of how the mums, if this was one parent on their own, they might not be courageous enough to speak like they're speaking. If it was one parent, okay? There's 3 of them, which hopefully has given them strength and that they're in the same situation. And because of that, they're saying, no, you're lying. That's a lie. You lied this time, you lied this time, you lied this time. Why have you not done this? Why have you not done that? Even, and no support. No support from MPs, no support from anyone. No lawyers offering their free services, nothing. Like every case on our side, with our communities, nothing. So the mums, if you look at what they've done, I spoke to Tracy the other day. She said she's about to travel from Scotland to back down south, going into city centres to try and raise awareness to fight for the justice for their boys. There's a demonstration. Anyone who's watching this, please share this. If you're watching it, give it a share. If people want to know what they can do, how can you help? If you're watching this and you feel passionately about it, and you're angry about it, and you're upset by this story, and want to know what you can do, even just sharing it, so that the people in this country know what happened to those boys, so they know their names, so they know their faces, so that it's not forgotten. If you want to do that, share it. Share the story. Go to Tracy Blackwell's Facebook page. I'll put the links on here. They're holding a march or speeches. They've done Speaker's Corner time and time again. They're doing anything and everything they can to try and answer questions that the police should be answering, and they're not. And unfortunately, the way I see it now is they can't answer because they didn't get the CCTV. Even, the day of this case, so he gets to court. Bearing in mind, he's given no comment. He's not told anyone where he is. I go to the court case, and he has the cheeky... He's killed 3 kids, and there's about 8 or 10 people there to support him at the Old Bailey. There's people there to support him. So before the case, I walked into the little side room with his family. And I walked in and said, right. And they said, what are you doing here? I said, I don't want to argue. What I want you to understand, or try to understand, if this was an innocent act, there's 3 mums out there that are never going to have closure. They're never, ever going to have closure. And they've got questions that they need answering. Like, between 6:30 that night and 8:30 that night, where was your son? What was he doing? These sort of questions. And 2 of them were extremely rude. Get out, yeah? I think it was a young Muslim girl and another boy. Get out. Like, we don't want to talk to you. I said, you don't want to talk to me, but there's 3 dead kids and your relative is the reason for it. So is there no compassion in your heart to even bring closure for them mums? Then can you not just answer the questions? Can you not just liaise and speak and get us some answers for these questions, so that if it is an accident, if it was an accident, then it can be categorised as an accident. If there's nothing to hide, and straight away I'd say from the reaction, it's not the reaction of innocence. It's not the reaction. It's either that or complete contempt for the kids who died. Because if I'd done that, my mum would be at the family's house. She'd be begging, crying and screaming, please, about what's just happened to those 3 boys. So would you if you'd done it. If you got drunk and drove a car and killed kids, you'd be distraught. You'd be distraught. Not cocky, not looking the other way, not smiling and laughing like they were his friends were in court. So, this is it. That's just me sharing. And if you're watching this, as I said, share it. Share the story. On my timeline, it's literally the most recent video I've done about these 3 boys. It's just fucking, it's just knowing that they ain't, for me, that they can't get answers. And it's outrageous that they can't get answers. So I went through, like, I don't even have to, I should be going into this. I went through and started searching similar cases. That, like, a driver drove a car into a nightclub in Bournemouth about 2 months ago. So whenever something happens like that, injuring 13 people, smashed the car straight through the nightclub, I wait and I look for the name of the driver. Well, he was Mohammed. How come every time some lunatic takes their car? Now, and for those of you who don't know, there's a magazine called Inspire. Inspire is Al Qaeda's magazine. Now, in 2016, I think, it was downloaded 250,000 times. No, 50,000 times. It was downloaded 50,000 times in 3 months, yeah, in the UK. Al Qaeda's terrorist manual, instruction manual, which tells them specifically to take your cars, target things like this, target gas. It tells them exactly what to do, yeah? 50,000 people downloaded it. That's 50,000 people that we can prove were in the UK. 50,000 people that weren't using VPNs. So the actual number's a lot high. That's 50,000 people who need to get the hell out of our country. And the government can trace where those were downloaded to. It's not hard. They can find out who these 50,000 people wanting to download Al Qaeda's terrorist manual are. But they don't. And yeah, I'm not going to carry on going on, man. My words is those families, 3, they've got young sisters, they've got young brothers. They're lovely families. They're some of the nicest people I've met. And they need support. They need support. If anyone can give them support, financial support, help. There's a demonstration, as I've already said, on Bank Holiday Monday, Trafalgar Square. I'll put the details at the top of this video. I'll put all the links on the top of this video. I'll also, whilst I'm doing this, I spent, you know, when I say like, for example, I've got a few stories. One of them is going to shock this country, the documentary we're going to have coming out. Right, on what's happened to someone in this country. Now, these stories, even the time that I have to go meet the family, is the time that I have all of these. Tomorrow, hopefully, into the north of England. I'm going hopefully tomorrow into the north of England to look at some grooming, to meet some parents, hopefully. And all of these different stories that I'm working on at the minute, I'm hopefully, you know, you had the Telford expose, you had the Rotherham expose. I'm hoping we're going to be able to bring you another city's expose, proving councillors and police hid evidence. Hopefully. We're working on all of these things, working on the in-depth reports, but I want to say that I'm passionate about all this. So I want to expose this sort of shit. I want people to see what I see. I want people in this country to know what's going on. So I want to say a personal thank you to every single person, anyone who's been on this, to give me the time, that gives me the time, that gives gives my team the time to sit and make the videos, edit the videos, to travel the country. I couldn't do that without the support of the people who go on my website. So a personal thank you. That's all I have to say, man. It's just, again, see you later.